Well, this is it. Season finale of Which to be Preserved. This episode will focus on the LBSCR H1 class. 5 members of this class were designed by Douglas E. Marsh and built by Kitson & Co. The class was a 442 Atlantic tender engine design, which actually took inspiration from the GNRC-1. They look quite similar, actually. In December 1905, the first 2 members of the class were completed, those 2 being number 37 Chelsea Bill and number 38 Portland Bill. In January 1906, the 3rd member was completed, number 39 La France. La France was renamed Heartland Point in January 1926. And lastly, in February 1906, the last 2 members of the class were completed, which were number 40 St. Catherine's Point and number 41 Peveril Point. In 1923, all 5 H1s were given new Southern Railway numbers, being 2037 to 2041. In 1925, they were all reallocated since the King Arthur and River classes took over their express runs from London to Brighton. Three of the 5 members survived in a BR ownership, and all 5 of the class were gone by the end of 1951. The class were deemed successful, and a superheated version, that being the H2, were built shortly after the H1s. The remaining 3 locos were given BR numbers of 32037 to 32039. The Second World War left the class with little work, and as a result, 2 of the 5 members were withdrawn in 1944. Number 32037 was withdrawn in July 1951. Number 32038 was also withdrawn in July 1951. Number 32039 was withdrawn in February 1951. Number 2040 was withdrawn in January 1944. And number 2041 was withdrawn in March 1944. We can automatically rule out 2040 and 2041. They were withdrawn during World War II, and no one had the time or money to purchase a locomotive for preservation at that point. Plus, at this point, 3 other locomotives of the class were still around. Generally, preservation societies wait until the last minute once the final members have been withdrawn. However, that isn't the case for this, in my opinion. I believe the H1 that had the highest chance of preservation is number 39 La France. It was the only named H1 under LBSCR ownership, and in 1913 she pulled a train carrying the French president. Special cases like this have earned engines a spot in preservation. For example, Oliver Cromwell, a Britannia-class locomotive, was preserved by the NRM for pulling the last steam-powered passenger train in the UK. I believe La France would get this treatment. However, that isn't the only reason I believe this. The National Collection has 2 other Atlantics, a GNRC-1 large boiler and small boiler variant, numbers 251 and 990. Not only would the NRM purchase La France for the train she pulled, but also because they could buy her and show off the differences between the C1 and the H1. In addition, she could also double head with the H2 replica that was completed many years later on the Bluebell Railway. Well, that's a wrap. Season 2 of Which to be Preserved will happen, however not for a while. It will focus on classes with only 1 survivor like the E4, the E1, the A3, and the D49 as some examples. It'll consist of 20 episodes, and I hope you all enjoyed this episode. It's such a shame that all the H1s were scrapped. However, at least we now have an H2 replica. Thank you all for watching this series, and now it shall come to a close. For now.